What is up, everybody? It is Grand Prix GP02 here, coming to you once again from the north end of Houston, Texas, where for the past week I've been driving around in what some would consider to be one of the true ambassadors of Motor City's craftsmanship. Today we're going to take a deeper look at Chrysler's 2017 300. Alright everyone, so here it is, the 2017 Chrysler 300. Now, if there was ever a vehicle that I feel could really make you fit in at your local country club, but on the flip side could also make you look like the top sales agent at your local rental car facility, then the Chrysler 300 is definitely one such vehicle. Now, the 300 competes in a rather interesting category in the automotive industry, being classified not so much as a full-size luxury sedan, but more so a full-size premium vehicle instead. Now, when most people hear a full-size luxury sedan, most people often think of cars like the BMW 7, the Genesis G90, the Mercedes S-Class, and so on. However, like I was saying, this is a full-size premium sedan, so it competes with a little bit more of, shall I say, a domesticated group of full-sizers. Cars like the Dodge Charger, the Toyota Avalon, the Chevrolet Impala, and even the higher-end Ford Taurus. Now, my particular tester is a 300 that I would describe as having a little bit less flash, but a hell of a lot more attitude. The 2017 300S, sitting as the second most expensive trim level for the 2017 model year out of the 4 that are currently available. Now, those trim levels start at 300 Limited, then 300S, 300C, and finally ending with the top-of-the-line 300 Platinum. Now, adding to the attitude on my particular tester are two very distinct packages. First off, this particular one is classified as a 300S Alloy Edition, hence all of the dark bronze accents, mainly on the 20 by 9-inch aluminum alloy wheels, which I'll show you more of here in just a bit. And also, my particular tester is sporting the S Appearance package, which you'll see most of here at the front, which is where we're going to begin. Now, on this 300S, we have bifunctional halogen projector headlights. They are automatic. However, if you want HIDs or any kind of higher upgrade on the headlights, you'll have to upgrade to either the 300C or the 300 Platinum. However, they do come with the LED daytime running lights, and the S Appearance package here adds this distinct lower front fascia. Almost gives it kind of a lower budget SRT appearance, if I'm honest, because you have these distinct lower grills with the smaller projector fog lights in there and the LED fog lights down here below. And again, the very interesting design to the front fascia, including that front splitter. Now, first up on the list of matte dark bronze accents here goes around the majority of the front grille. You have the liquid titanium or the darker titanium badges, such as the Chrysler wings here, and then also you have the gloss black treatment here across the front grille. Now, this particular style of the 300 first came out in 2011. However, as most people probably know, the 300 underwent a pretty extensive refresh about 2015, and it has turned it into the vehicle you see today. Now, like I was saying, and I stand corrected here, these are 20 by 8-inch aluminum alloy wheels, and normally on the 300S, without the Alloy Edition package upgrade, these are finished in hyper black. However, as you can see, they are finished in this beautiful matte dark bronze, and I'll tell you, with the gloss black clear coat exterior on this particular test vehicle, it really does set this car off very, very nicely. You do have 4-wheel disc brakes and anti-lock brakes. You do have active safety features available available on upper end models. My particular tester doesn't have quite a few of them, but that's not so much a worry, being the fact that they are available features on the 300 as a whole. You have independent short long arm suspension here in the front and 5-link multi-link independent suspension in the back, and I will tell you, it still does equate to a very comfortable ride even with these big 20s on it. Now moving up here, we do have the power exterior mirrors. These are body colored. They are also heated, as indicated by the little icon up here in the upper right hand corner. Now blind spot monitoring is an option, but again, you have to go up the 300 line in order to get it. My particular tester does not have the optional panoramic sunroof. However, as I just mentioned, it is an option on this vehicle. So the price tag is quite justifiable. You still do get quite a lot of options for the money here. Now this vehicle does come standard on all trims with Chrysler's advanced keyless access. You just push the button on the door to lock the vehicle and then touch the back of the handle on either of the front 2 door handles to unlock it with the key fob in your possession. Now as we walk around the vehicle, the design of the 300 definitely doesn't look dated. It still does have a very luxurious appearance, and it still does have quite a modern appearance as well here, even in 2017. Now here at the back, we do have these vertically stacked LED taillights. We do have the LED accents around the outside here, as well as the main light here in the middle. As you can see, we do have more of the bronze accents here on this 300 badge, and also the S is of course black. The S appearance package does add this nice little rear spoiler here, which I actually like on this vehicle. Does add a very nice taste to the vehicle overall. And looking at it from the back, it looks a lot cleaner than when this generation of 300 was first introduced back in 2011. And that's also down to these dark titanium exhaust tips here at the back. And even though this one does not have the $3,000 upgrade to the 5.7 liter Hemi V8, the V6 in this car still does make a fantastic noise when you're driving down the road. However, it still does remain very quiet as you're cruising down the freeway as well at whatever speed you may be going. Now, in the end, being the fact that this car is $39.5 grand, it does seem rather expensive. However, I will tell you, with all the options on my particular tester, and with the way that this car looks, performs, and drives, just based on the week that I've had it here, I can definitely say it is really, really worth the money. Now, whether or not people want to spend $40,000 plus on something a little bit upper end, with something a little less sporty in appearance and a little bit more on, shall I say, kind of the vanilla side, I wouldn't say that the regular 300 is particularly pretty. I just think that the 300S in this particular specification is exactly as I would have it. The matte bronze wheels, everything appearance-wise is 100% spot on how I like it. Now, does that thing continue with the interior? Let's open the door and find out. Now, opening the door and examining the 300's interior, even though this 300S is not as plush or as blinged out as, say, the 300C or the 300 Platinum, this particular tester of mine does still provide you with a very plush place to be. However, you still can pick holes in a few places on the interior, and my main gripe here is with some of the interior materials. First, touching some places like up here on the upper part of the door, it does feel a little bit plasticky, a little bit firm, and I would have expected a little bit nicer for an almost $40,000 vehicle as tested. Now, on this upper material here, if you give it enough pressure, you will find that it does give, but upon first touch, if just kind of lightly touching it, it does feel a little bit plasticky. The middle of the door, you do have padded leather. However, the armrest is a little bit firm, even though it is padded in leather and has this beautiful caramel brown stitching, as most of the interior leathers do actually have, with that stitching color there. However, it's just not exactly the nicest place to rest my elbow, being the fact that it is a little bit firm, but that's just me being nitpicky. Up here on the door, you do also have the gloss black accents, which you'll find throughout good portions of the interior, and again, more of that matte dark bronze finish as well. Now down here on the door, this is a big one. This car comes standard, with the S trim at least, with a 10-speaker Beats audio premium sound system. Now we'll get to the sound demonstration here in a bit, but can I just say, this thing will blow your ears off if you are a bit of a bass head like me. Now up here on the door, you do have your typical switchgear, including your power mirrors, which I said those are heated before. You do have power or automatic front windows here. They are automatic up, down. I wish all four were automatic at this price tag, even this being the second highest trim. But you do have all four power windows, window locks, power door locks, and the keyless access with remote start, as I was showing you guys before. Now, if there's one thing about this tester's interior that sort of bugs me in a little bit of a way, it is the seating position that you get with these sport bucket seats here. Now, these are specific to the S trim level. If you go with a 300 Limited or any of the others in the line, you will expect a little bit more of a plush leather seating surface, or perhaps a different seat configuration. But one little complaint that I had is I am rather broad-shouldered, and again, I am rather tall. I'm 6'1", and these upper portions of the seat do pinch my shoulders just a little bit. The seats themselves are very, very comfortable, and again, you do have more of that dark caramel color stitching, as is the accent here with the S badges or the S embroidery here on the front seats. But as far as comfort goes, one of the things that I would change is just sort of decrease the bolstering up here at the upper portion of the seat. But other than that, the seats are plenty plush. And as you would expect in a luxury car, they are fully power adjustable. You have multi-way lumbar, power recline, and power distance control as well. Now, sitting here in the 300's driver's seat, visibility-wise, it is a bit hit and miss. And I say that because out of the front of the 300 here, visibility is excellent. To some taller folks, you may see part of the roof line directly in your line of vision, but that really doesn't bother me. This is a very big car, so the windshield is still very wide. A-pillars are nice and thin, so it does provide plenty of front visibility. The side windows are a little bit on the thin side, especially as you start going towards the back of the vehicle. And in this particular driving position, I do have a little bit of a hard time seeing past that passenger headrest there. And then out the back, if you go for the S appearance package, as I said before, you will get the spoiler there in the back, so that may hamper your vision out the back windshield. But if that spoiler isn't there, I'd say rear visibility is definitely good as well. Now, as far as seating position goes, I have a ton of room in this vehicle. This is still a full-size car. I do have plentiful amounts of headroom, even though the sunroof is not there, which according to Chrysler, actually adding the panoramic sunroof decreases the headroom in this vehicle, especially for the backseat passengers back there, which is rather interesting. But for me, it's a full-size car. I have plenty of headroom, plenty of legroom, and the step-in height is not too bad either. Now, next up on the agenda, let's give her some power. So this is the standard Chrysler key fob here. It's used on pretty much all Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and all kinds of other FCA vehicles. You've got unlock, lock, tap this button twice to open the trunk, tap the button twice for remote start, and the panic function, as well as the emergency key fob that can be deployed if either the key or the car were to lose power. But it's like any other smart key system out there. Just keep your foot on the brake. As you can see here, keep the key fob in the vehicle, hit the button on the dashboard, and now, if there's one big advantage that I really would say this 300 has over a lot of its competitors, it's the fact that the interior, and specifically a lot of the controls here for the driver and in this center console here, don't make the vehicle feel too busy. By that, I mean there's not a button, a dial, and a switch for absolutely everything in here. Everything is very easy to read, even for the updated Uconnect system and navigation system, which we'll get to here in just a bit. But everything from the gauges to the driver controls and everything else in here, it's very clean. It's slightly on the minimalist side, but it's definitely given this vehicle a much more modern feeling compared to how it was just a couple of years ago. Now, starting here with directly what's in front of you here as the driver, you do have the arrow pad here on the steering wheel for the liquid crystal display here, an information center. You do have Bluetooth with voice recognition. You have the cruise control functions. Active cruise control with start stop is available on this vehicle. However, it is not equipped to my particular tester here. And the steering wheel is lined in a very, very supple and very sumptuous leather. You do have the dark caramel color stitching running around the interior trim here for this particular tester of mine. And also here on the back, you do have these metal silver paddle shifters here. They're not plastic. They don't feel cheap. They feel of very, very good quality. And they're very easy to pull. They aren't exactly the most responsive paddle shifters I've ever felt, even with this 8-speed torque flight automatic transmission that this particular tester of mine has. They aren't exactly responsive. However, they are a joy to use. Now, you do also have those ubiquitous buttons there on the back of the steering wheel as well. Those are for the Seek track over here on the left, and of course the volume control over here on the right. Now, moving over to the side of the steering for a second, you do have the automatic projector headlights, as I was saying before. You do have instrumentation dimming and whatnot, and also your trunk release. And then moving up here just to the gauge cluster, I absolutely love this particular set of gauges. Now, they are very familiar to me, however, because they basically look like the same thing right out of the Chrysler 300S that basically had the same sort of gauge format and layout. However, unlike the 200, you have this brilliantly lit display here in the middle, and it does display quite a lot. For starters, you can go from anything from vehicle info, you can scroll over, coolant temperature, transmission temperature, tire pressure, and so on. You have a digital speedometer. As you just saw, I have active fuel economy and also average fuel economy. I can go down, I've got trim information, I've got audio settings, Bluetooth streaming, vehicle message such as service messages and so on, and then it just goes right back to your speedometer. But I love this blue color, especially at night. It lights up this beautiful blue, and even when the instruments are dimmed, it does add a very nice little hue to the interior. Now, moving over from the steering wheel to the center console here, for starters, I am absolutely loving this new version of Chrysler's Uconnect system. Everything from the graphics to the navigation, everything feels so much cleaner compared to the rather dated Garmin system that some of you guys may have seen in the 2017 Dodge Journey GT that I was testing just recently. You go to the navigation setting. For starters, touch response is incredibly quick. As you can see, everything is very easy to operate. One thing that is a benefit with this system here is it is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay compatible. That was not something that was available in some of the older Garmin systems, and even some of Chrysler's current vehicles do not have it as well. You do have much more updated navigation graphics, as I was saying before. You can zoom out quite a bit. You can do pretty much the same thing you could with the old one, but again, everything is much, much cleaner. Now, the one thing that I said I wanted to get to, and it's about time to crank this thing up, is the 10-speaker Beats premium audio system, because trust me, this thing does make quite a lot of noise. So as I was saying, this Beats audio system, if you're a bit of a bass head like me, will definitely be more than satisfactory to those who really do like your music. Now, if you want to view things like your map while you're here listening to your music, you can do that. However, as you can see, it shows up as a much smaller display. You do have things such as your AM and FM and Sirius XM satellite radio. You can do things such as favorite your songs. You have active traffic and weather updates. You can change the audio settings, bass, treble, whatever you want. And I'm just absolutely loving this this infotainment system and Dodge's and Chrysler's rather Uconnect system here that's been updated for 2017. Also, I know Mr. Tiff Nadell over in England definitely loves things like this. We have a proper analog clock up here at the top of the dash. Kind of looks like an old-fashioned wristwatch in my opinion, but that's definitely not a bad thing. It does add a little bit of elegance to the vehicle here. Now, moving down from the 8.4-inch screen, which I forgot to mention at the beginning, we do have the usual suspects, things like your tuning and volume knobs, which I'm glad to see. No tuning sliders or any touchscreen business like that here. You can turn the screen off with just the touch of a button, but just simply touch it to turn it back on. You can mute it. You've got your hazard button. You've got traction control, which when you turn it off, it actually says it is in sport mode, which is rather interesting. So that's a very interesting thing. But speaking of sport mode, you do also have have that. Even though this is a V6, it still does have 300 horsepower, so that is something that you can definitely use to make use of that. You just push it, you get the little green flag icon up there on the infotainment screen, and that of course means that the throttle responses are sharpened, the transmission shift times are sharpened, and the steering becomes much tighter and heavier. So definitely providing a much more sporty experience in the vehicle. You do have dual zone climate control, so you can use the touchscreen up here if you so desire, but you also have a physical bank of buttons down here, including your air conditioning, recycling, turning on the AC, temperature arrows on either side of the fan knob here in the middle. You have automatic air conditioning and front and rear defrost as well. Now moving down, you do have a nice little hidden storage compartment with a 12-volt outlet hidden here just underneath, and that of course is finished in gloss black. In fact, most of the center console here, with the exception of this gray plastic surrounding the screen, is finished in the black gloss veneer here. Now, as I said, this vehicle, both V6 and V8, comes with one specific transmission, the 8-speed 845 TE torque flight automatic transmission. So it's not the ZF gearbox that a lot of other manufacturers are using. However, it does still provide a very comfortable, smooth, and quiet ride. The shifts aren't too hard, and it doesn't feel like the transmission is trying to make up its mind like Chrysler's 9-speed automatic that I've tested with other vehicles in this under this brand in the past. One thing that most people are not a fan of that have ridden in this vehicle with me is this rotary E shifter here. You can find it in cars like Jaguars or Jaguars, as most people would say, Land Rovers, and all other kinds of cars like that, and even some of Dodge and Jeep's products have this as well. It's pretty easy to use, but although it does take some getting used to, push down and over to go into sport. This vehicle does have a backup camera, which the graphics are a little better. They're not a ton better. It still is a little fuzzy here as far as the graphics are concerned, but it's not exactly the worst thing in the world. You do have parking sensors as well, which is nice, and also those guidance lines as you saw. And then trailing off, we do have dual cup holders here, and we also have a nice little center console, which as you can see, I've got a water bottle in there that holds all of our stuff quite comfortably. And also, if you remove the little tray, you do have 2 USB ports and an auxiliary import as well. And the whole thing is wrapped underneath a leather padded center armrest here with more of the dark caramel stitching. Now, opening up the 300's rear section here, it definitely, again, is a very nice place to spend time. At 6'1", again, I am rather tall, but sitting back here, as you can see with the seat in my current driving position, even as tall as I am, I do still have plentiful amounts of room here between my knees and the back of the seats. You do have leather-bound map pockets in both the backs of the seats here. These seats are 60/40 split fold here, and you do have a nice little center console that pops out as well. And these seats are easily foldable. All you have to do is just pull on this little tab here, and as you can see, the seat folds forward, no problem at all. Now, as far as headroom goes, I'm plenty comfortable back here. If I were to sit bolt upright, and I do mean straight upright, as you can see, my head does hit the ceiling, but that's only if I literally sat straight up. Most people kind of tend to slouch just a little bit. So that is something that I really wouldn't worry about as far as headroom goes. And then, of course, you do have a view of that beautiful dash and center console up front. So all in all, a thumbs up for me here in the rear seat, and you also do have 2 USB charging ports here in the back for your rear passengers to charge their phones if necessary. Now, when it comes to cargo capacity, the 300 is a little bit on the underwhelming side. Now, you can open the trunk by using the button here hidden on the third brake light, or you can use the keyless remote. And I say it's a bit underwhelming because at 16.3 cubic feet of cargo space just here in the rear, it actually makes it cubic foot for cubic foot smaller than the trunk space of a 2017 Honda Fit. Now, that's not exactly the greatest comparison. However, when you think about it, a compact hatchback has more cargo volume than a full-size premium sedan. So that is a little bit underwhelming, but back here in the back, as you can see, you do have your Beats audio subwoofer, which is what provides all that bass. And then, of course, you have those 60/40 split fold seats if you want to increase your cargo capacity. But as far as initial cargo volume, it's not exactly the greatest thing in the world. However, as you can see, it's still plenty big enough to at least throw a couple bags back here and possibly a couple suitcases to go along with it. Now moving up front here to the 300's engine bay, my particular tester is sporting the standard engine which comes across the entire range. This is Chrysler's 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 that features things such as double overhead cams, 24 valves. It features sequential multi-port injection, so no direct fuel injection here. However, as you can see by the engine cover, it also does come with variable valve timing. Now in the 300S, it has a particular specification compared to the other standard versions of this particular engine. The 300S is rated at 300 horsepower and 264 pound-feet of torque. Normally the engine produces, I believe, 294 horsepower and about 260 pound-feet of torque. Now, fuel economy for this V6 version is actually rather impressive. During my week of testing, I averaged 23 miles per gallon in mixed driving, which is exactly the rating that this car got combined from the EPA, rated at 19 in the city and 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Now, for those who want a bit more oomph, you can opt for a $3,000 upcharge, upgrading this car to the 5.7 liter Hemi V8. Now that engine pushes out 363 horsepower and 394 or so foot-pounds of torque. So that is quite a jump in horsepower. However, I personally would stick with the V6. It's still very quiet. It's a beautifully smooth engine. And again, both the V6 and V8 versions are connected to the same 8-speed TorqueFlite automatic. Now, if you go for this vehicle with the all-wheel drive, the miles per gallon will drop to 18 in the city, 27 on the highway, and if you opt for the V8, you're looking at 16 in the city, 25 on the highway. So all in all, the specification we have here is exactly how I'd have it if I decided to have one of these cars. Now, with this being a premium full-size sedan, you of course would be expecting a lot of premium features. And when it comes to the safety department, that theme definitely continues. Now, with my tester here, it doesn't exactly have all of the advanced safety options that you can get as you go up the line. However, I am happy to report that if you want such options, you can definitely get them. So getting into the passenger seat here, we do have the full array of airbags, both driver front and passenger front. We do have the side curtain and seat mounted side impact airbags, but other active safety features are available on upper end models such as active cruise control, automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, and so on and so forth. So a lot of those active safety features that may be missing on some of the lower end trims like this 300S are still available as you go up the trim level ladder. Now, sitting here in the passenger seat, I have just as much room as I do in the driver's seat there, just minus the steering wheel, of course, and it does still provide lots and lots of room. The glove box itself does open up to a rather nice size. As you can see, I got a little bit of paperwork in here, but you do have the two little shelves. You do have a nice one there for your books and so on, and then of course you have the main storage shelf here. It is lined and felt. It doesn't drop directly in your lap, so it is nice and damped, which is nice to have. So overall, a very spacious glove box to keep all of your things. And in the end, I really have enjoyed my week with the 300. A lot of people still dog it, being the fact it's not a true premium luxury sedan in some people's eyes, but from my driving perspective and my week of testing, I can still say that this car should definitely be on your list if you're looking for a vehicle that doesn't exactly compete with a lot of the super expensive heavy hitters out there, but still provides a lot of the premium features that most modern full-size car buyers will come to expect. And unfortunately, on that note, everybody, our time here with the 2017 Chrysler 300S has unfortunately come to a close. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this review as much as I have had fun making it for y'all. Now, if y'all like what you see, please do give this video a thumbs up, and also be sure to click that subscribe button down below for much more awesome content like this to come in the future. Now, in the end, a huge thanks goes out to Fiat Chrysler Automobiles once again for providing me with this beautiful 300S for an entire week of testing. But in the end, guys, from the north end of Houston, Texas, this has been Grand Prix GTP 02, and I will see y'all next time. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.